the Eminem controversy caught me by surprise because I didn't know that my position, like so many other positions that I have, would be considered controversial. I was doing a podcast interview. The topic came up. I think it was Joe Budden who suggested Eminem may be one of the greatest. And I said he could never be considered the GOAT. If you want to say he's one of the greatest, make that argument. But you will not call him the GOAT of a black cultural icon, of a black cultural product. You're not doing that. Our culture is our culture. We don't share it. If y'all want to give people privilege to participate, then they have participation privilege. But you cannot be the face of something my people made. This is not only true for me, this is true for most groups. But because black people suffer from post-traumatic slavery disease and we crave white validation more than oxygen, we are always looking to anoint some non-African as the face of something African people created. So when I said Eminem cannot be the GOAT, I never said he couldn't rap. I never said he didn't have talent. I simply said he can't be the GOAT. No more than DJ Khaled could ever be considered the GOAT as a DJ or producer because you are not African. So a lot of hip hop artists took offense. They came out of the woodworks with their unlicensed law degrees and served as Eminem's expert lawyer and publicist to the black world. And they defended that man better than Johnny Cochran defended O.J. Simpson, and basically told me I have no right to speak on the topic because I am not a rapper. Negro, I don't have to be a drug dealer to speak on drug dealing. I don't have to be a surgeon to speak on the racism that blacks suffer in the medical industry. And I don't have to be a rapper to speak on rap music. But as an African who grew up in hip hop, as an African who partakes in hip hop, as an African who is a safeguarder of all African culture, I will speak on anything my people create and anything my people are affected by. And I'm just disappointed, brother. Because just like we talked about Snow Bunny Barkley and Snow Bunny Shannon and LeBron James earlier defending Caitlin Clark, we saw the same thing happen with these so-called gangster rappers who took Eminem's defense against your good brother, Dr. Umar Ifa Tunde. And you know what bothered me the most about all of these rappers defending Eminem without him even asking them to, without him even paying for them to do it? What offended me the most about it, Art, I've never seen any of them defend black women the same way. Now, one of these rappers who defended Eminem against me, I never seen a single one of them defend black women as ferociously as they defended Eminem. What did I say earlier? Politically effeminate. Our gangster rappers are politically effeminate. Our basketball players, NFL players, politically effeminate. Whenever it comes to holding white people responsible for appropriating black culture, here comes the gangster rappers to defend their white Jesus. Here comes the basketball players to defend their white Jesus. It's absolutely insane. Black celebrities never defend us. They never defend black America, but whenever white folks are offended by black people, they're the first people to pop up. I'll take you to DJ Vlad, Culture Vulture, DJ Vlad. Culture Vulture, DJ Vlad, after that interview I did with Joe Budden, Culture Vulture, DJ Vlad brought all these rappers on his platform and celebrities. And he asked everybody, do you agree with Dr. Umar? He said Eminem could never be the GOAT of hip hop. And I think 99%, if not 100% of these celebrity black men defended Eminem and reinforced the integrationist colorblind narrative that anybody can be a GOAT of hip hop. Hip hop is for everybody. Do you know we the only people who claim such things? You can't go into somebody else's culture and hear them say, we invented this for us. But anybody can steal it, use it, exploit it, misappropriate it, and we won't have a problem with it. Only when it comes to black people can you come in, exploit, appropriate, take advantage of something we made for us, and everybody's supposed to be okay with it. And on that note of Culture Vulture DJ Vlad, he got checked recently because there was a conversation about the Drake-Kendrick Lamar beef. The Drake-Kendrick Lamar beef. There was a Twitter conversation going on, and a black female professor from Princeton, whose name I am forgetting, she checked Culture Vulture DJ Vlad and she said, you're white. This is a black conversation. Stay out of it. Those are not her exact words. I'm paraphrasing, but she basically told him this is a black conversation. You white, stay out of it. Vlad, with all of his white privilege, took offense to that, and he responded to her by including Princeton University in the tweet. So he was basically bringing it to the attention of Princeton University that one of your black professors is telling me I don't have the right to participate in this private black conversation regarding this beef between these two rappers. Now, to be honest, he did apologize later. But of course he's going to do that because you have no right exploiting black culture and at the same time trying to get one of our black women fired. But guess what? When Vlad threatened to get that woman's job taken, when he threatened to make it known to her employer, Princeton University, that she told him he couldn't participate in that conversation on the Drake-Kendrick beef, I didn't see a single rapper come to that sister's aid. I didn't see a single one of those celebrities who get interviewed on DJ Vlad's platform come to that sister's aid and say, you can't do that, bro. We let you participate in our culture. We can dismiss you from our culture. How dare you make millions off of black culture and then try to get one of our women fired from a prestigious Ivy League job? Are you out of your mind? Not one of them Negroes spoke up for black women. And this is why, Art, I understand why our sisters have so much contempt for us. We can defend DJ Vlad. We can defend Eminem. We can defend DJ Khaled. We can defend Caitlin Clark. But what about all the other black women who are not being defended? We throw them right under the bus. I cannot take issue with a black woman being so angry at the black man because we are not unapologetic in defense of our women. But I want to draw a parallel. Beyonce just came out with a country music album, Cowboy Carter. First time in country music history that a black person charted #1 on the Billboard country music chart. First time ever. Beyonce's first country album, she charts first place Billboard country music. Did you see the reaction from the country music community? They threw Beyonce under the bus. They threw Beyonce under the bus. Not just the fans, the artists. The artists threw Beyonce under the bus. They were all over TikTok, all over Twitter, all over Instagram, talking about why she can't stay her butt in the ghetto. These are the comments. Why can't she stay in the ghetto? And we don't allow you to come dressed and have clothing. You got to cover all your body up. And why isn't R&B and pop music enough? Why you got to come and pollute our music? I want you to see the contradiction here, Art. When I said Eminem can't be the GOAT, hip hop's most popular rappers came out and tried to chastise Dr. Umar in defense of Eminem. But when Beyonce came out with the Cowboy Carter album as #1 for black artists, those white country musicians and their fan base attacked Beyonce vehemently. They tried to destroy that sister's credibility in the country music world, even though the roots of country music go to the slave plantations of America. The country music, the guitar, and all of that was born on the plantations where our ancestors slaved themselves. So were enslaved, not themselves, but were enslaved. So Beyonce has every right to get into country music. But guess what? They consider that their territory. And had white people invented country music art, I would have no problem with them telling Beyonce to stay out of our music, because we want the best person in this genre to be one of us. I would have no problem with it. The only problem with it is we actually invented country music, not white folks. But had they invented it, I would respect their decision and tell Beyonce, leave their music alone. But because we invented country music, Beyonce has all the right in the world to make a country music album if she wants to. It's the double standard. Everybody has a right to exploit black art. Everybody has a right to appropriate black art. Everybody has a right to take advantage of black art. But let you try to infiltrate their art. Let you try to infiltrate their culture. They will reject you and send you back to where you come from. We have to accept everybody. Nobody has to accept us. Same offense. No disrespect to Vanessa Bryant, Kobe's widow, but Kobe's mother and father just sold his NBA championship ring. They just sold it. Why? Because they need capital to live. They're elders. They need some money. From what I've heard, Vanessa Bryant ain't giving them a dime. Kobe Bryant left her almost $1 billion. And you mean to tell me that you don't have enough decency, enough respect to float Kobe Bryant's mother and father $1 million? Even if it's one time, Art. Even if it's one time. I don't really like y'all. I don't really mess with y'all. Y'all son told me not to be bothered with y'all. But because you are his parents, because he would have never existed without you, because if y'all don't give birth to Kobe Bryant, he never becomes my husband. I'm never in this financial position. Because of that, let me give you $1 million. Let me throw him $5 million. I'm not giving you no more, but I'm going to give you $5 million, but you can't come back again. Can we agree on that? Can we sign a non-disclosure? I'm going to give you this $5 million, but y'all can't come back. Fine. Give us the $5 million. She won't even throw them $1, bro. And then people get upset with me for being against interracial marriage. Listen, I'm not against white women. I'm not against red women, brown women, or yellow women. I am against the transfer of wealth out of the black community to white people who have taken enough from black America. Why are we marrying Asian women? Why are we giving our wealth to them? Why are we marrying white women? Why are we giving our wealth to them? We don't have enough as it is to rebuild black America. And you out here marrying women who you know going to take you to the cleaners when you no longer a celebrity, when you no longer got any money. Look at Michael Strahan. I just read an article the other day that Michael Strahan's white ex-wife, who already received $16 million, I believe was the amount in the divorce settlement, plus a certain monthly allotment, she said that's not enough. She wants more money. And then I read some time back that RG3, the former NFL quarterback, he married a snow bunny, divorced her. She took a sizable chunk of his wealth. She wants more money. Tiger Woods' girlfriend sued him last year for putting her out the house, and she was not even his wife. What are we doing? What are we doing? When you are no longer making that money, these white women leave you, and they're going to take as much as they can get on their way out the door. But compare that to what black women get. Did you see what happened when Robert De Niro divorced the black woman, or when the black woman divorced Robert De Niro? She did not get half his money. Robert De Niro's ex-black wife did not get half of his money. You know what the courts gave her? $1 million a year. You're going to get $1 million a year until you get married. The minute you get married, you will no longer collect from your ex-husband. We don't benefit from interracial marriage. And here's my question, Art. If white people love us so much, if they got all this love for black people, why is the bedroom the only place they can show it? Why is behind closed doors the only time we see the love that white America professes for us? Why we don't see it in the classroom with our children? Why we don't see it in the courtroom when we're being sentenced to twice the amount of time in prison for the same offense as white people? Why we don't see it in the banks when we're looking for business loans and home loans? Why we don't see it in society where we're being murdered indiscriminately by white mass killers and white police? If white people love black people so much, why don't we see it anywhere else beyond the bedroom? We ain't nothing but a fetish. We ain't nothing but a pet. We ain't nothing but something for white folks to have a little bit of fun with. And when they done with you, they drop your ass off and take everything you got. It's not worth it. But we can't stop because the low self-esteem of black men, dictates that we get a white woman in order to feel better about ourselves and more equal to the white man.
And speaking of marrying an Asian woman, how you feel about Jeezy divorcing his wife?
I read something, and shout out to Jeezy. I hope he comes out on top and gets his daughter. Shout out to Jeezy. What I read was there was a clause in the prenup, and forgive me if I'm wrong on this, but if memory serves me correctly, there was a clause in the prenup that says she could get half or something to that effect if he engages in extramarital affair. If he commits adultery, it nullifies a part of the prenup that prevents her from taking half. And so she's making the argument, at least from what I'm hearing, she's making the argument that Jeezy cheated on her. And because he cheated on her, she should now have the right to go after most, if not all, of his assets. I hope that's not true, but that is the report. Like I said, I stand in solidarity with my brother Jeezy. I hope he comes out of that situation, but it's never a good thing to date outside your race or marry outside your race, because when it doesn't work out, do you want your black daughter being raised by white people who don't like black people? Do you want your black son being raised by Asians who don't like black people? Do you want your black children raised by Arabs or East Indians or Latinos who don't like black people? So you got to consider the fact that half of the marriages in America end in divorce. So if half the marriages end in divorce, mixed race marriages as well. So what are you going to do when your black son is being raised by a white mother who just married a Nazi as a husband? So now your black son is living in a house with a Nazi as his stepdad. These are things that you got to think about. I wish my brother Jeezy well. And I just think it's just another example as to why we need to stick with our own. I love black women. I'm for black women. I'm always going to defend black women. I don't care who don't like it. They are our natural God-given mates. They are who we are supposed to be with. We are not supposed to be mixing our seed because we are the chosen ones, and the chosen ones should only be reproducing with other chosen ones. It don't make us better than nobody, but we're different from everybody because we're the original man and woman, and we should not be mixing our seed.
Is there any possible way that Diddy can bounce back from this, from your point of view?
Yes, he can. Should he? Probably not. Can he? Yes, he can. Because we have the Christian church in Black America. And Black America are suckers for a good redemption story. How many murderers went to the church, got baptized, started their own church, and began a new life? How many career criminals went to the church, got baptized, and started a new life? If Puffy is interested in the church, he could, without question, redeem himself through the church, because the black church forgives everybody for anything. Let me say that again. The black church forgives everybody for anything. If Puff Daddy goes and gets baptized, apologizes for all he's ever done, whether he's sincere or insincere, Black Christian America will give him another chance. He can come back, because people who are guilty of things that are almost as grotesque have also come back before him. Yes, he can come back if he baptizes himself, joins the church, and professes to be saved by Christ.
Speaking of the church, right? How you feel about TD Jakes? Because what caught my attention about him is, it's a lot of people that have mixed feelings about him. You have some people that's a fan of his, and you have some people that feel like he's a fraud. But how you feel about him?
I'm not going to call him a fraud. I think I'm not a fan of TD Jakes because I don't see TD Jakes doing enough to help Black America. That's really my only gripe with the man. As far as him being at the Puff Daddy freak-offs, clearly that is behavior unbecoming of a pastor. Clearly that is behavior unbecoming of a pastor. But he's not the first to do something like that. And he's not the last to do something like that. I mean, let's be honest. Every day we have pastors, Black and white, being exposed in this country, sleeping with minors, molesting kids, cheating on their wives, stealing from the church. It's no longer a shock to find out a pastor has been outed as being a closet homosexual or an abuser of children. It's no longer a shock. And that's sad. But my issue with TD Jakes is he makes too much money. His church brings in too much revenue for them not to have a school for our children, for them not to have a hospital for our children, for them not to have a bank for our families, for them not to have a supermarket to provide our people with good food. TD Jakes' church brings in too much revenue for him not to be a factor in the resurrection of Black America. That's my issue with TD Jakes.
Yeah, I mean, if he's making that kind of money, he should be doing more, so I hear you on that, man. But I want to ask you, from your point of view, what do you think is going to happen to Diddy?
I don't know the answer to that, but here's what I do know. Sean Puffy Combs, from the white power structure perspective, is guilty of committing celebrity crimes while no longer being relevant to the white power structure. One thing we know about racism and Black celebrities, when you are no longer a benefit to us, we no longer provide you with the protection you need to operate above the law. That went for Michael Jackson, that went for Prince, that went for Whitney Houston, that went for, it goes for all the celebrities, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, now Sean Puffy Combs. This is why when LeBron James retires from the NBA, he's going to have to be more careful. You have to be more careful when you're no longer the man. You have to be more careful when you're no longer on top, because when you are no longer of earning potential for us, when we can no longer flip a quick dollar off you, we send you back to the plantation to be with the rest of the Negroes. You're no longer special. Get out the house, go back to the plantation. And when you back on that plantation with the rest of Black America, you will be treated and viewed just like the rest of Black America. Puffy might be shocked. Bill Cosby may have been shocked. R. Kelly may have been shocked. How dare you do this to me? Look at what I've done for you. I've remade hip hop for you. It doesn't matter, Puff Daddy. You ain't had a hit in years. You ain't been musically relevant to the white power structure in years. Puffy should have been more careful about his behavior, although none of us, including me, would ever condone or excuse domestic abuse. When you no longer matter to them, they no longer matter to you.
How you feel about Dwayne Wade and his son? It's a two-part question. How you feel about Dwayne Wade allowing his son to transition into a female, and how you feel about them coming out with a trans program for the youth?
I don't want to go in too heavy on Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union because I'm sure they get enough of it. But at the same time, I do want to let them both know that I'm completely disappointed in them as parent and step-parent. I remember seeing Dwayne Wade on the cover of Sports Illustrated, I believe it was. It was him, his son Zaire, who's now a pretty good basketball player, and his son Zion, who is now the artificial woman, Zaya. And they all had the hoodie on, standing up in defense of Trayvon Martin and against police genocide of black people. I don't know what happened between the time Dwayne Wade and his two sons put them hoodies on for Trayvon, all the way up until 4 years ago when Zion decided he wanted to live as an artificial female. I don't think Dwayne Wade understands the population control agenda of the United States government. I mean, do black people really understand that when your child undergoes sexual reassignment surgery, they remove their reproductive organ? They take it off. Do you really want your son to be castrated in childhood based on a decision that was engineered by American media? Something that he may later regret and want to revert back to his God-given identity as a natural, organic black man? Are you sure you want him to do that? And I'm not sure if Zion has had sex reassignment surgery. And if Dwayne Wade is watching me, I would ask my brother Dwayne Wade. Please do not let Zion go through with the sexual reassignment surgery. I don't know if he did yet or not. I do know they moved from Florida to California, and in California, children can receive sexual reassignment surgery. Now, according to Dwayne and Gabrielle, they moved to California because it is a more tolerant society for transgender youth than Florida. That's what they told the public. I'm hoping they didn't move over there so that boy can get the sexual reassignment surgery. Because once he gets his reproductive organ removed, he can never put it back. So I'm pleading with Dwayne Wade. I'm pleading personally as Dr. Umar with Dwayne Wade. Don't let Zion receive sexual reassignment surgery, Dwayne. And the reason I'm asking you not to let him get that surgery is when he's only 17. He's only 17. He was 13 or 14 when he came out as wanting to live his life as an artificial female. He's only 17. What happens when he's 27 and he finds God, or his ancestors find him, or he comes into black consciousness, meets Dr. Umar and changes his mind and says, I want to be a black man. I now understand how special it is to be the father of civilization. What you going to do then, Dwayne? If you let that boy get his reproductive organs removed on a California surgeon's table. So I'm hoping Dwayne Wade, and I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to say Dwayne Wade has enough integrity and forethought that even with Gabrielle Union breathing down his neck, I believe Dwayne Wade will not allow his son to engage in sexual reassignment surgery until he's old enough to make that decision for himself. I'm going to give Dwayne Wade credit right here, right now, and say Dwayne Wade is not going to allow the media, Gabrielle Union, or anyone else to force his hand, including his son Zion. He's not going to let Zion force his hand into getting sexual reassignment surgery in California. I'm going to say Dwayne Wade is going to do the right thing and recognize this might just be a stage in my son's identity development. He may revert back to his natural God-given self and identity as a black man. So I will not let my son get his reproductive organ removed from his body until he's old enough to make that decision for himself. I'm going to give Dwayne Wade that credit because that would be a disaster. That would be a catastrophe. Because one thing that the media isn't talking about is the fact that transgender black youth and transgender white youth have some of the highest suicide rates in America. I don't know if you know this. They have some of the highest suicide rates in America. Now, the media narrative is they're being bullied and they're not being accepted, and so they're killing themselves. I disagree with that. I know transgendered youth. I work with them. This is what I do. I'm a certified school psychologist. You know what I see happening? They take on this new lifestyle. They realized it was the worst decision they could have ever made. They're now trying to adjust to the new life and they can't. And they're now angry and disappointed in their parents and family for letting them do it. And when they find out that they can't revert back biologically or surgically, they take their life after realizing that there's no coming back if they've already taken the hormones or had the sexual reassignment surgery. They're killing themselves, Art, because they should have never been allowed to undergo that type of physical transformation as a child in the first place. The media is telling you they're being bullied into suicide. That is not true. Yes, there is some bullying of transgender children, but they are the most protected children in society. You go to jail for bullying a homosexual. You go to jail for bullying a transgender. You could do whatever you want to do to black kids. You can call them N-word, shoot them, kill them. Nobody's going to do anything. But LGBTQ children, they're the most protected children in America. They are not being bullied in plain sight. They're taking their life after realizing that I should have never done this to myself and nobody should have let me do this to myself. And now that I don't know how to change it back, I'm just going to take my life early. That's why they're killing themselves. So I don't pick on transgender youth. I don't believe in picking on people, period. I don't pick on LGBTQs. I don't agree with the lifestyle, but I would never encourage harm or hurt to anyone of that community. As far as the black LGBTQs, I believe that they suffer from mental illness that needs to be addressed, therapy, family issues, abandonment issues, trauma issues, abuse issues, so forth and so on. And they simply need help. They simply need some good black mental health treatment, especially our same-sex dating sisters. So I'm not against my people. I love all black people and I respect all human beings, but we are under a population control agenda. Let me ask you a question. If people don't believe transgenderism in children is not a population control strategy, why is Planned Parenthood leading the charge to help our children transgenderize themselves? We good? Planned Parenthood was founded October the 16th of 1916. October the 16th of 1916, I believe, was the date. It came out of the Birth Control League, founded by Margaret Sanger, a member of the American Eugenics Society, who was a racist and a eugenicist who wanted to eliminate black people. She started Planned Parenthood, which grew out of her Birth Control League. The Birth Control League was 1916. It changed its name to Planned Parenthood in 1942. It's the same organization that Margaret Sanger started in Brooklyn to get rid of unwanted black babies. Why are they giving out hormone therapy pills? Why are they giving out hormone replacement pills? Why is Planned Parenthood giving out puberty blockers, Art? I thought you was about abortions and hysterectomies, but you're giving out testosterone pills, estrogen pills, puberty blockers, hormone pills. Planned Parenthood is leading the charge. What does abortion have to do with transgenderism? You know what abortion has to do with transgenderism? They both lead to black genocide. That's why Planned Parenthood is one of the biggest pushers of transgenderism in the black community. It's genocide, it's extermination, and it's population control.
What you think about the people that feel like, Gabrielle Union, she's the one behind this. She's the one that, read the pants in the relationship. She's the one that got, Dwayne Wade's son doing all this stuff.
How do I feel about Dwayne Wade letting Gabrielle run the show? For starters, are we sure he's doing that? And the reason I'm asking, since I'm not in the household, how much of this is her and how much of this is him? I don't know. Initially, obviously, the rumor is, the unverified rumor was that Gabrielle basically came into those children's lives, manipulated her way in and kind of forced this way of thinking onto the innocent young boy Zion. It's unverified, but the more this goes on and the longer this lasts, I kind of believe both of them. are supportive of this type of psychological manipulation. That new organization, the new trans organization that Zion and his father founded, it seems like they did that without Gabrielle. Now, that doesn't mean she's not operating in the trenches somewhere, or it could just be a situation where Dwayne Wade has finally had this forced upon him. And although he may have been reluctant in the beginning, it may be easier on him just to go along with it. But I'm going to be honest with you. I think there's something missing from the whole story that we are never going to get until Zion is old enough and comfortable enough to tell the world the whole story. Something ain't right about this. Everything from, him being 13, wanting to be a girl, that's not natural for a black kid, to Gabrielle embracing it as earnestly as she did. Most black women don't thirst for a transgender son. And she's not even a biological parent. To Dwayne appearing, at least publicly, to be very docile and accepting of how aggressively Gabrielle was pushing his son into this way of life. So we can only go off the spectacle of what is seen. I think the truth is about 10 or 20 years from now before it's really going to be shown to us what really happened here. This will be a documentary for the ages when the whole story comes out. But I think we might be 10 or 20 years too soon to see that.
Caitlin Clark, how you feel about everything that's going on with her right now?
The situation involving Caitlin Clark, I believe, is unfortunate for her because she has been relatively modest and quiet since entering the WNBA. I think the problem is that the white power structure and the WNBA has an agenda to make Caitlin Clark the athletic face of the league. Now, they can make her the marketing face of the league, but it's going to be difficult to make her the athletic face of the league because she is not to the WNBA what LeBron James was to the NBA. She's not a Luka Doncic or Nikola Jokic. She's not a Larry Bird, if you will. And so the problem, as I see it, is the WNBA wants to pass off responsibility for Caitlin Clark not being the instant athletic phenom they want her to be. They want to pass off that responsibility onto the black women of the WNBA. And it appears that they're trying to push a narrative that says Caitlin Clark isn't able to maximize her talents on the court because she's being bullied by these much larger black women. And that simply isn't true. Basketball is a competitive sport. You play to compete. That is the nature of athletics. So shaming and blaming black women for competing against Caitlin Clark when you all took it upon yourselves to exaggerate her skill set simply isn't fair. You saw what happened the other day. There was a game that the Indiana Fever had with Chicago Sky. And Kennedy Carter, I believe is the sister's name, she had shoulder checked Caitlin Clark to the floor. The referees called a common foul, and the WNBA later upgraded the common foul to a flagrant foul. Well, everybody's up in arms calling Kennedy a bully. She's jealous. The black women of the WNBA are jealous of Caitlin Clark because she's getting all of this attention. Wait a minute, time out. Why didn't anyone talk about the play just before the one that led to the shoulder check? Caitlin Clark went over the head of one of Kennedy Carter's teammates, hit her in the head. The foul was not called. And then on the way back up the court, she proceeded to trash talk the opposing team. So, in any sport, when you foul someone and it's not called, and then you have the audacity to trash talk the other team on your way up the court, paybacks are due. That's in the WNBA, that's in the NBA, that's in college, that's in Little League. What Kennedy Carter did happens all the time in the WNBA, the NBA, college, and other places. But because she's supposed to be the Cinderella of the WNBA, white America took issue with it, and nobody focused on the fact that she started the whole thing. And what really perturbed me was when I went to the sports commentators on television, I hear Charles Snow Bunny Barkley calling the black women of the WNBA jealous. He said they're jealous of Caitlin Clark. And then Snow Bunny Shannon Sharp, he chimes in with the same false criticism, saying that they're jealous of Caitlin Clark. Nobody's jealous of Caitlin Clark. No disrespect to her, because I don't think she deserves this, because she hasn't said or done anything that would warrant anybody intentionally pursuing her, beyond the fact that a lot of much better players are being overlooked in deference to the white rookie, which I could understandably recognize if you got players who've been in this league for 1 year or more years who are way better than Caitlin Clark, and they have been overlooked to be the athletic face of the WNBA, and everybody knows why. Because she's the new white girl who they want to be the ambassador for the sport. The problem is she isn't that good enough. And then Matt Barnes, he chimes in again with Snow Bunny Shannon Sharp, and they both say that Caitlin Clark's teammates are not protecting her. Protect her from what, Matt Barnes? Protect her from what, Snow Bunny Shannon Sharp? She started the altercation. She hit the girl in the head. I do believe it was inadvertent. It was a basketball play. I don't think it was a dirty, cheap shot, but you still hit her and the ref didn't call it. And then you trash talked her and you got what you were looking for. So why are you calling on Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark's teammate, to be the plantation mammy of the WNBA and play bodyguard for Caitlin Clark? Time out. Aaliyah Boston is a National Player of the Year. Aaliyah Boston is an Olympic gold medalist. Aaliyah Boston is an NCAA champion. Aaliyah Boston has her own status and prestige in the WNBA. She's just as accomplished, if not more so, than Caitlin Clark. So why would you reduce her to being the on-court mammy whose new job now is not to play basketball, but to defend the privileged white girl, Caitlin Clark, from other black female athletes? It's not fair. And then we come to LeBron Buck Dancing James, LBJ. And then LeBron James gets on the internet and he basically tells the black women of the WNBA to chill out and relax. Caitlin Clark is the reason you guys are getting all this new attention. She's the reason that you guys are making more money. She's the reason attendance has picked up. She's the reason you guys are getting chartered flights. Well, guess what? I disagree with you, LeBron James. I disagree with you. And let me tell you why. Have you noticed, LeBron James, Charles Barkley, Shannon Sharp, that because of Angel Reese, the Chicago Sky tickets have quadrupled in sale, that the stadium has quadrupled in attendance? Why is nobody talking about the Angel Reese effect? So you're telling me people are going to watch Angel Reese? Although Caitlin Clark does not play in Chicago, people are going to watch Angel Reese because Caitlin Clark is in the WNBA? That's not true. They're watching Angel Reese for Angel Reese. Last time I checked, Angel Reese beat the University of Iowa for the national championship 2 years ago. And the reason why Angel Reese is being demonized by the WNBA, white media, white society, and the coonocracy of the WNBA is because they did not forgive her for spoiling Caitlin Clark's season 2 years ago. In the 2022-2023 national semifinals of the women's NCAA tournament, Caitlin Clark in Iowa went against North Philadelphia's Dawn Staley and the undefeated Lady Gamecocks of the University of South Carolina. They were undefeated, and the referees robbed Dawn Staley and the Lady Gamecocks. It was a highway robbery. If you breathed on Caitlin Clark, they called a foul. But when the Lady Gamecocks were being beat up, Aaliyah Boston and company, no fouls were called. They were robbed. So after the White Snow Bunny referees robbed South Carolina in the national semifinals game, America thought that Caitlin Clark would cruise to the national championship. But guess who had something to say about that? Angel Reese and the LSU Tigers. And Angel Reese knocked off Caitlin Clark to win an NCAA National Women's Championship, and America has not forgiven her for that. Let's go to this year. So once again, Iowa sees Dawn Staley's Lady Gamecocks. Aaliyah Boston is in the WNBA. The referees couldn't cheat them this time. Now, they did beat Angel Reese in the semifinals. So Caitlin Clark and Iowa did get some of their revenge, but they didn't get all of their revenge because when Angel Reese beat you, she won a ring. When you beat her, you didn't win a ring. And then you lost to Dawn Staley, a coach, by the way, who only lost 3 games in 3 seasons. Undefeated, unprecedented season. Dawn Staley is going to go down in history as the greatest women's basketball coach of all time. But guess what? She's not getting no attention at all. All the attention is going on the loser, Caitlin Clark. When have you ever seen the losing team get more attention than the woman team? And to add insult to injury, I can't believe that Gayle King, Oprah Winfrey's running mate, had the audacity to interview Coach Dawn Staley in the aftermath of the University of South Carolina's national championship. And she asks Dawn Staley, this is a black woman, elder, interviewing another black woman, youth. And she says, what were you thinking? What was going through your mind? Because we were all rooting for Caitlin Clark in the University of Iowa. Time out, Gayle. Time out, Gayle. Who was rooting for Caitlin Clark in the University of Iowa? Because I wasn't. I was rooting for my North Philadelphia sister coach, Dawn Staley, and the Lady Gamecocks. And I watched them more than men's basketball. Caitlin Clark isn't the only reason people are tuning into women's college basketball and the WNBA. It's because of Dawn Staley, the Lady Gamecocks, Angel Reese, the improvement in ladies competition over the past couple years, and yes, Caitlin Clark. I will not deny her impact, but to put it in a vacuum, Stephen A. Smith. To put it in a vacuum, Matt Barnes. To put it in a vacuum, LaShawn McCoy. To put it in a vacuum, Shannon Sharp, and say that all of this new attention is due to the white female rookie is not fair to the players who are already there. This started 2 years ago when Angel Reese beat Iowa. You know as well as I know, you can't have a protagonist without an antagonist. Why do you go to movies to watch Batman? You go to movies to watch Batman because you know there's going to be a Riddler. Why do you go to a boxing match? Because you know if Gervonta Davis is on this side of the ring, somebody else is going to be on this side of the ring. The protagonist and the antagonist make the story. Unfortunately, white America has made Angel Reese into the antagonist. So be it. The point that I'm making is Caitlin Clark cannot exist without an Angel Reese. If Angel Reese never beats Caitlin Clark for the NCAA Women's Championship 2 years ago, we're not even having this conversation. That rivalry made this a situation. And the fact that they both transitioned to the WNBA at the same time made it even more of a rivalry. And the fact that Caitlin Clark joined a team that has Aaliyah Boston, former national champion, gold medalist, national player of the year. So her former nemesis is now her teammate, and they're going up against Angel Reese. That even makes for a better story. I'm not denying Caitlin Clark her greatness. I'm saying she's not doing it alone. She's not doing it alone. Angel Reese's impact is almost as strong. There's more white women in America So yeah, Caitlin Clark is going to sell more tickets. She's going to sell more paraphernalia because there's more white women in America than black women. That goes without saying. But to try to reduce Angel Reese to being a hater and jealous of this girl is not fair. Last time I checked, Caitlin Clark does not lead the NBA, the WNBA in any category. She doesn't lead the WNBA in any category. Her team has the second worst record in the entire WNBA. Who is jealous of that? Who is jealous of that? And then Shannon Sharp, along with Matt Barnes and everybody else, Shady McCoy and the rest of these Negropeans, they are up there talking about how she's being unfairly targeted. Guess what? Angel Reese has been just as targeted on the basketball court as Caitlin Clark. Did you see the game a couple days ago where the player from the opposing team picked Angel Reese up and slammed her to the ground and she ended up getting ejected? Why didn't Shannon Sharp talk about the bullying of Angel Reese? Why didn't Charles Snow Bunny Barkley talk about the bullying of Angel Reese? Why didn't LeBron James and Shady McCoy and Stephen A. Smith talk about the bullying of Angel Reese? Why are we only talking about the alleged bullying of a Caitlin Clark? I think it's racist. I think it's unfair. Do you know what just happened last night or the night before? Asia, I forget Asia's last name. She's also a former NCAA women's champion. She's also a former National Player of the Year. She just made WNBA history last night or the night before. She plays for the Las Vegas Aces. She's also a Dawn Staley product. She just scored 35 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. She's the first player in WNBA history to score 35 points, grab 10 rebounds, dish out 5 assists. It's never been done in a single game. She plays for the Las Vegas Aces. Guess what? Every home game has been sold out so far this year in Las Vegas. Is Caitlin Clark responsible for that? Is Caitlin Clark responsible for the sold out games in Chicago? What are we doing here? I can't believe Stephen A. Smith, Snow Bunny Barkley, Snow Bunny Sharp, Matt Barnes, LaShawn McCoy, LeBron James. I can't believe they're going out of their way to help the NBA and white America paint this false narrative that Caitlin Clark is just so good and everybody else is jealous of her. That's not true. You're putting her on a pedestal and she's not good enough at this time to live up to the hype or to the expectation. All of those women, including Caitlin Clark, are responsible for the new hype in the WNBA. And if I may, LeBron James, who I love and respect, black wife, black children, took his friends from childhood, had them trained, educated, and they became part of his economic empire. Nothing but respect for LeBron James with regard to that. But how is it that LeBron James can come to the aid of Caitlin Clark and protect her from her black competition in the WNBA? And how is it that LeBron James could stand in solidarity with Israel against its occupation and genocide of Palestinians? Over 100,000 Palestinians have been murdered as a result of this war. But LeBron James and Maverick Carter came out publicly in defense and in solidarity with Israel. So you came to the defense of a white country. You came to the defense of a white girl. But LeBron James, can I ask you a question? Where was all this energy 2 Junes ago in 2022? Where was all this energy, LeBron James, 2 years ago, when a black man from your hometown of Akron, Ohio, by the name of Jalen Walker, was shot more than 90 times by the police of Akron? He was unarmed. He fled on foot. They caught up with him, executed him. His body was riddled with nearly 90 bullets. And do you know what LeBron James had to say about it? I have to pray for my city. That's all he could offer in defense of Jalen Walker, the black community of Akron, Ohio, and Jalen Walker's family, I have to pray. Well, why didn't you pray for Israel and Palestine? Why didn't you pray for Caitlin Clark? You stood up in defense of Israel. You stood up in defense of Caitlin Clark, but LeBron James couldn't stand up in defense of Jalen Walker, who was executed with 90 bullets by the police in Akron, Ohio. Here's what we need to understand. The traditional black bourgeoisie no longer exists. They no longer have in America academically trained Negroes who can influence the political and social behavior of Black America. You don't have the Jesse Jacksons with the influence they used to have anymore. You don't have the Al Sharptons with the influence they used to have anymore. You don't have the Andrew Youngs with the influence that they used to have anymore. You don't have the Congressional Black Caucus with the influence they used to have anymore. So if you no longer have an academically trained, socially elite Black bourgeoisie, who do you replace them with? You know what they're doing? They're replacing them with Black celebrities. LeBron James is now a spokesperson for Black America. Charles Snow Bunny Barkley is a spokesperson for Black America. Shannon Snow Bunny Sharp is a spokesperson for Black America. Negroes who have no vested interest in the best interest of African people are now the spokespersons, and they are not doing a good job at all. To see these Black men throw Angel Reese under the bus, and let me not forget Emmanuel Ocho, my Nigerian brother who has a tendency to coon out every once in a while. Emmanuel Ocho, after Angel Reese lost to Caitlin Clark in the national semifinals a few months ago, he gets on television and he basically shames Angel Reese for the fact that she's receiving death threats. How do you shame a 22-year-old child? My daughter is 22 years old. How do you shame a 22-year-old girl who's crying in the post-game interview because she lost and under the pressure of being vilified by white America, under the pressure of racial remarks and slanderous messages being sent her way every day, all day? She cries as a child does. And what does Emmanuel Ocho do? He gets on TV, shames and blames Angel Reese, and basically tells her, if you want to play the villain, then you have to suck it up when it comes your way. Look at this now. Angel Reese is being treated like an animal by these Black male sportscasters. She's being treated like an animal by these Black male sportscasters, while at the same time, they upholding the privileged white girl, Caitlin Clark. It ain't nothing but good old-fashioned racism. And I stand in solidarity with Angel Reese. I stand in solidarity with Kennedy Carter. I stand in solidarity with Asia Wilson and Aaliyah Boston and all those beautiful Black women who are helping to make the WNBA what it is right now. Asia Wilson is probably going to end up being the greatest female basketball player of all time. That 35, 10, and 5, she out there running that thing. Sold out games every night. Why isn't Stephen A. Smith talking about the Asia Wilson effect? And Gayle King, don't you ever in your life break breath to ask a Black coach what were they thinking when they went up against a white student in a national championship game. Gayle King, you owe Coach Dawn Staley an apology. How dare you tell a Black woman that you was rooting against her for a white team and a white player at a white university that has less than 3% Black children on campus? What the hell do you mean we were all rooting for Caitlin Clark in the University of Iowa?
Hey, man, everything you just said, man, was spot on. Your take was spot on. And, you know, Asia Wilson, I don't know if you know, but she is the face of the WNBA. She's the best player in the WNBA right now. And she don't get no love at all, yo.
It's not even close. Asia Wilson is the best player in the WNBA. It's not even close. Sold out arenas, just broke a record. I don't hear Stephen A. Smith. I don't hear Snow Bunny Sharp, Snow Bunny Barkley. I don't hear Emmanuel Ocho. I don't hear LeBron James singing her praises, but they singing the praises for Caitlin Clark. And you know, this speaks to a larger issue, though, of Black celebrity males. I want to introduce a term to you that I call political effeminization, and I want to explain what that is. Political effeminization is not sexual effeminization. It's not social effeminization. It has nothing to do with your ability to engage in stereotypical, traditional, social, aggressive male forms of behavior. Not at all. Political effeminization speaks to the need for Black men to politically stand up against the white power structure and defend their women, their children, their elders, and their community. When I see LeBron James cape out for Caitlin Clark, like she's the only reason the WNBA is doing what it's doing. When I see Stephen A. Smith and Matt Barnes cape out for Caitlin Clark, like she's the only reason that the WNBA is doing what she's doing. When I see Snow Bunny Barkley and Snow Bunny Shay Shay cape out for her like this, and ignore Asia Wilson and her effect. Ignore Angel Reese and her effect. Ignore Aaliyah Boston and her effect. To me, that is a form of political effeminization. You don't have the courage. You don't have the courage. You don't have the masculinity to stand up to systemic racism in the media, in the government, in the society, in the criminal justice system, in the school system. They don't have the courage. They are not men of courage when it comes to standing up and defending the integrity and self-respect of Black women. Political effeminization.